Okay, so let me see here. Grab my highlighter. Okay, so this little chapter, if you guys go there, talks about in particular, the food or the garbage disposal, as well as a dishwasher. In the project that we have, guys, very simple. Both of these are motors. The food disposal is a motor. And when you guys design it with your friend Chad, what you did is you assigned, we had the receptacle. You guys remember how we did it? We had the receptacle like this, and we had a split phase, one phase coming to, so one phase, so we had one phase coming to this side, and the other phase coming to this side, or the other hot, and the neutral are tied together here and coming to neutral. So here's my hot one, here's my hot two, and that's how and then we plugged in garbage disposal in one and dishwasher in the other. That's how you guys designed it for me, right? And we brought two circuits to one receptacle, split circuit receptacle, we call it. That's typical for garbage disposal. So when we design garbage disposal, typically we assign a dedicated circuit. And we assign a 20 amp circuit here. 20 amp circuit, dedicated circuit with conductors of 12.3. 12.3 NM cable and NMB cable. And we wired them with 12.3 NMB cable and we gave it 20 amp. That's what we typically do for garbage disposal and dishwasher. That's what you guys did for me in the power, right? So we'll talk a little bit about this one. So installation circuit, we just showed you how we did the installation circuit for this one, the typical application for the two together. Continuous feed and patch feed. We'll talk a little bit about how these work for the garbage disposal. There are two ways of connecting the garbage disposal, guys. There's a direct connection and cord and plug. Direct connection and cord and plug. So there's a couple of pictures. When you have a garbage disposal, you either plug it in with a cord like we designed, or you can directly wire it to an outlet. And then we'll talk about the overload. Since the garbage disposal is a motor, you are to assign an overload for this motor. So around Thanksgiving, Adam, when you put all these bones in the garbage disposal and it jams it, you're not going to burn it, right? The overload should trip. So that's what we're going to talk about. All appliances, guys, and all motors require a disconnect, like we said yesterday. So you have to have a disconnect, and the reason for the disconnect, because you are sticking your fingers right into the garbage disposal to clean it, you would hope nobody's going to flip the switch on and turn that garbage disposal on, and then you will leave a few of your fingers down there. That's really what the disconnect is. Safety feature. Safety feature. All appliances require a disconnect. We'll talk about this one. Grounding. All appliances must be grounded. So we have an equipment. What we do is we provide an equipment grounding conductor. We tie it to the frame, the metallic frame of the appliances, with some exception for double insulated appliances, if any. Water temperature, I'm not going to talk too much significance of water temperature for dishwasher. What they do for dishwasher, guys, is they post, in order to kill the bacteria and all this good stuff in a dishwasher, what they do is they take the hot water and they make it hotter. So they can, if you have a garbage disposal, you can see it's really hot. The water gets in there. The idea is to clean, number one, and kill the bacteria and so forth. So that's what the significant water temperature on that one. Okay. Food disposal. Typically, here's a typical amp-wise for these babies, for the disposal. Typically, guys, they are horsepower. They are motors, horsepower. So this is what you're looking at is a typical amp-wise for garbage disposal. A typical brand circuit for the garbage disposal. That's exactly what you guys did with me. So if you don't know anything about garbage disposal in a dwelling, 20 amp circuit, number 12, dedicated circuit for the garbage disposal. Done, check, right? Now, if they tell you more information about it, then you can size it. But typically, a 20 amp circuit. So that's for, so I have my 20 amp circuit. right here. I have my garbage disposal right here. Up to this point, I wired it, powered it. When you power an appliances, guys, it's not enough to power it. There are two things you still have to provide for it, right? Three things. You need to be able to control it. How are you going to control it, right? You need to control it. And number two, you need to disconnect it. You need to provide a disconnect, right? That's a disconnect. So typically for the garbage disposal, what we do is we put a little switch right here, and that switch right next to above the sink will act as your controller on off, as well as your double duty, the controller as well as your disconnect. So you can disconnect it to work on equipment. Any comments, guys, about the garbage disposal circuit, 20 amp circuit into a switch like you guys have wired with me, into a circuit, the way we did it, we put a plug here, we plug it. Also the plug, yeah, if you plug it, your plug will act as your disconnect, by the way. If it's not hardwired, if it's plugged in, you plug, when you unplug it, that plug, unplug, the plug will act as your switch, your disconnect. So you have a disconnect. If it's hard, what you're looking at here is a garbage disposal, hardwired garbage disposal. Now, if it's hardwired garbage disposal, then this single pole on-off switch has double duties. Number one, it acts as controller, right? That's duty number one. Number two is disconnect. So it has two duties. Act as a disconnect as well as a controller. And from this end, what do? You go over here and you put your 20 amp circuit breaker, and here's my neutral. This is what we call it hardwired garbage disposal. No problem. Bring it on. No receptacle. The way you guys did it with me is a receptacle. I like it with the receptacle. The nice thing about the receptacle is you can unplug it. It's actually safer. In my book, it's very safe because you unplug it. Have you ever worked on garbage disposal when they get jammed and you put your fingers right there? If somebody accidentally standing there flipped the switch, right? I know it's right there, but it could happen that accidentally somebody flipped the switch while you were working on it, right? And you lose a couple of fingers. If it's unplugged, I personally believe it's much safer. If the plug is there, you just can't unplug and you're right there, working right next to the appliances. So somebody has to really push you away to plug the appliances. Versus the switch will be right at the top because you're right underneath the countertop. So anyway, but both of them are approved methods. Here's a method, guys, of connecting them. So you can use this, as a disconnect or garbage disposal. The lid here, I don't know if you've seen these. Some of them, the lid, guys, act as a, have you seen where the lid act as a controller? Where when you put stuff here, you push that lid down and it actually activates a garbage disposal. I haven't seen it. Mine at home is a switch. You turn it on and off by switch. But there are two ways of controlling garbage disposal. You can have a switch, turn it on and off, control it, and some of them come with a lid where you can push on the lid right down here. Do you have one? You see? You push on the lid and it activates it. That's for controlling it. So that's your garbage disposal. Any question, guys, about the garbage disposal? Straightforward, 20 amp. The way either you plug it in, I'll show you how to plug it in, or hardwire. Dishwasher. Here's a typical dishwasher. Here's the amp for your dishwasher. My dishwasher has the following amp. Now keep in mind, these are all 120 volt equipment. How do you know they are 120? They're dwellings. Typically, they're all 120. They're not 240. Okay, when you size these, they're appliances. They're appliances. Do you guys remember Article 422 yesterday? We said if the amps of the appliances are 13 amps, 0.3 or less, you have to provide the appliances with a dedicated 20 amp circuit. So that's based on this concept. We provide the same thing for garbage disposal. We provide a dedicated circuit. So what did we do? We provided a dedicated circuit, 20 amp, to a receptacle. And then here's my dishwasher, and we plug my dishwasher into this receptacle. Now, a couple of things you need to know. I have my branch circuits right here. The circuit breaker is here to protect the dishwasher. I have a branch circuit to power it. How do you control the dishwasher? Dishwasher is an appliance. All the control system is built into it. You don't have to worry about, unlike garbage disposal, where you have to have a switch. Some appliances, guys, a lot of appliances, the control part of the appliances is built into it by the manufacturer. So all what we need to do, 99% of the time, is to provide a power to power it, a circuit breaker to protect it from short circuit and ground fault, a cable to power it, send the power to it, a plug to plug it in if it's not hardwired. If it's hardwired, then you need to disconnect it. Any comments, any questions? Can I get you guys to understand that appliances like motors require you a few things when you do. You require an overcompression device, number one. Number two, require a feeder. Number three, require a disconnect. Number four, typically controller. Four is a controller. And overload, five, an overload. So the controller and the overload sometimes are provided, a lot of times for appliances, provided by the manufacturer, so we don't worry about them. So these two, the controller and overload for the dishwasher, is right built into the dishwasher. Same thing for the garbage disposal. Garbage disposal, the controller is, we have to provide a switch for it. How would I know if I need to provide a, do you guys get confused? I used to, especially when we go to the commercial industrial. Am I providing the controller, or is it built into the air handling unit? That's what you guys are going to be asking later on. This is easy stuff. Walk into a building like Dunwoody. I have an air handling unit, a chiller, a rooftop units, and all this stuff. Am I providing the controller or not? Typically, all these mechanical equipment, the controllers are provided by the mechanical manufacturer of mechanical equipment. So typically controllers are provided. But that's the question, Matt, that when you sit around the mechanical engineers. When you coordinate, electrical, mechanical coordination, you ask who's providing the controller. But now you know that there's something called controller. Who's going to provide the controller? Are we putting the VFD, or are they, the mechanical engineers, specifying it, and the manufacturer, or is the manufacturer providing it? But I guarantee you, 99.99% of the time, you have to provide an overcompression device and a branch circuit and a disconnect, at least, for every machine that we have. So that's your dishwasher. This is just a couple of temperature, guys. The dishwasher, because of germs and all this good stuff, what they do is they take the temperature from the water heater, 120, and they'll boost it up. They pump it very hot. That's why it's to clean better and kill the bacteria and so forth. Boost the temperature. That's not a whole lot, just FYI. A lot of these appliances, guys, here's what the NEC code book, guys, tells you. All these appliances will come with recommendation from the manufacturer, so that when you go to them, the manufacturer will say recommendation at 20 amp dedicated circuit. So you use it. If you don't know, then you use the NEC code book to Article 420, Article 422. Article 422 tells you 13.3 or less, 20 amp. Higher than that, you start using 1.5 multiplier. Always pay attention to the recommendation from the manufacturer. So branch circuit depend on the current. So can I connect two appliances on one branch circuit? Yes. A good design, when you go commercial, industrial, guys, a very good design is a dedicated circuit for all these appliances. If you go to a McDonald's, now we're going commercial, right? A good design, remember, we're not bare minimum. A good design is dedicated circuit for these appliances. Good design. Direct connection is also called hardwired. You can either plug it in or hardwired. Cord linked, we'll talk about the cord linked when you plug it in less than a second here. Overload. Overload. We talked about the overload, guys. Either you provide the overload, or it will be probably most likely for these appliances, integral part of the appliances. There's a little button on the garbage disposal. Have you ever seen it, guys? You put a couple of bones there and it stops working. So go clean it, and then a little button that pops out. You go push it down after you clean the bones that you put from Thanksgiving dinner. And it's supposed to, after it cools down, it will go back into normal operating condition. So that's your overload. When you put bones into the garbage disposal, too much bones. Built into the appliances. So we talked about this one. All of them require disconnect means. Appliance is very, very important. This require disconnect means. Why? You stick your finger in the garbage disposal, you want to bring it back with you when you move your hand, right? That's it. That's really what the disconnect is. You physically, mechanically isolate the equipment from the power that powers it. So no accidental connection, energizing of the equipment. That's part of when you that's residential, guys, and when you go commercial, it's an ocean. Number one, it is the law that you work equipment de-energized. You have to de-energize equipment. When you de-energize equipment, it's not enough just to turn the switch off. You have to properly de-energize equipment. You have to lock it and tag it. You disconnect it, you put a lock, your own lock with your own key, and tag it with your name. And that's the only way you can guarantee when you work on an air handling unit that nobody's going to flip the switch and kill you. So, and the reason for all this one, guys, because many people lost their lives because of sloppy work. So disconnect, I want you to emphasize the word disconnect all the time. Every time you have an appliances or a machine, anything, moving on forward, always ask yourself, where is the disconnect? Do I have a disconnect? Okay. Equipment grounding. So for grounding for all these appliances, guys, very simple. They all come with an equipment grounding conductor. You have to provide an equipment grounding conductor that tie to the frame of the air handling of the dishwasher as well as the disposal. The last thing, guys, they talk about portable dishwashers. Anybody have seen portable dishwashers? Yeah, they use them in apartments and things. You can plug it in instead of hardwired. It's a portable. It moves from one area to another. So I want to put my dishwasher today in the bathroom, tomorrow in the kitchen, next week in the bedroom. You know what I mean? Wherever you have a sink. Typically, you need a sink so you can discharge the water in a sink and receive water from the faucet. So that's portable. For these guys, they are 100% plug-in. So you go plug them in. We don't do nothing on them. These are exactly like your laptop. You can plug it in. The only thing that it needs more than power, it needs to plug it in. And also it needs a water faucet. You can attach the water to it, right? And it needs what? It needs also discharge. So you need a sink so you can discharge the water. Electrically speaking, we really don't care too much about it. You know what I mean? We don't provide anything special for it. You know. Any comments, guys? Any questions about these? But be aware that they are there too. This is just a couple of things, guys, about the temperature, and the temperature over 120 can scaling. So there's a couple of settings for the temperature. For dishwasher, the desired temperature is 140. You can see for dishwasher, the temperature is hotter than what the safe temperature for scalding. So for killing germs and so forth, and setting up the thermostat and so forth. So when installed, the thermostat should be set at 120 degrees Fahrenheit so you don't do scalding. This is related to the water temperature of the water heater though. Then what happened, then the dishwasher will take this water and boost it up to 140 just inside the dishwasher. Not when you take your shower to 140. Okay, so that's just a couple of things about temperature. This is all what we have, guys, about dishwasher garbage disposal. I do have a couple of slides for you. So here's a garbage disposal. Here's my 20 amp circuit. My 20 amp circuit coming in here, right? This is my disconnect now. This is my disconnect. My grind circuit is coming, my grind circuit. My disconnect is the plug. And then where's my controller? There is no controller, right? The controller in this term is the lid. Either the lid, you push the lid, it activates it. If it doesn't activate, the lid doesn't activate it, then what you need to do is what you do. You come over here and you put what? A switch. You put a switch. The cord, there's some requirement for the cord here, guys. It cannot, here's the limitation, 18 inches minimum and maximum 3 feet. They don't want you to have a longer cord on these. So they have a minimum maximum cord. We don't get involved in that one for the most part. You know, it comes with the appliances, but be aware that there is a limitation of minimum maximum cord. You need 18 to 3 feet. 3 feet is enough. So when you put, what's important for us, when you put your receptacles, make sure it's within 3 feet of where the appliance is going to be located. Then you're good to go. Any comments, guys? Any questions? So here's my disconnect, like I said, based on the 422.33a. So boxes cover size of approximately 120 for full load, do 11 times the fuse. So when we size the fuses or circuit breaker, guys, we go 125. Though it's a motor, if it's a motor, you can go, to 175 and so forth. But typically for these appliances, 125 is very typical for them when we size over computation device. Any comments about appliances? The garbage disposal in particular. Garbage disposal. So here's the second way. This is the hardwired, and we talked about the hardwired way. Same thing, hardwired. This is where the lid itself, single pole on-off control switch actuated by a twisted drain lid. So this is where the lid, you twist the lid and it activates it. I haven't seen it, but that's another way of control, how to control turning on and off. Sometimes also what they do is, what happens if you run your garbage disposal without water? You'll burn it for a long time, right? So sometimes what they do is they have a flow switch that they put it in the pipe. I haven't seen it, but you can put a flow switch. What happens, guys, for the flow switch, when the water starts going through that pipe here, it activates the flow switch and it closes this contact. Did you guys use a flow switch? We don't, I don't think we have a flow switch in our lab. But a flow switch is basically the water goes in here, inside the pipe. It physically, mechanically, as the water moves in, it pushes two contacts and closes them through the action of water. So when the water moves through the pipe, it physically, mechanically drives two contacts. You know, there will be something inside the water. So as the water moves in, it pushes it mechanically and closes two contacts. So now, if you do it this way, now you guarantee that your garbage disposal will never run unless what? Unless the water is running. So that's one way of doing it. So this is so you can, garbage disposal is always guaranteed water. Any comments, guys? Any questions about the garbage disposal and the dishwasher? Comments, questions. So short chapter. I'm going to switch track, guys, if you don't mind, and go directly into my next, because these are little chapters, my next topic. There you go. Okay, so my next topic, my friend, any comments before I leave, guys, the garbage disposal? Any comments, any questions? Garbage disposal, dishwasher. Summarize. Typically, 99% of the time, guys, you provide a dedicated 20 amp circuit for each and every one of them into a split power receptacle. So the top will be in one circuit, the bottom will be another circuit, like you guys did. You plug one at the top, one at the bottom, so each one of them will have a dedicated 20 amp circuit. The plug will act as your disconnect for these appliances. The controller will either be for the garbage disposal, a switch you have to provide it, or the lid. If you don't know that there is a lid, a good twist, you provide a switch. For the dishwasher controller, forget about it. It's all provided by the manufacturer. Overload for the two are provided by the manufacturer. Any comments, guys? Any questions? Grounding, every appliances you have to provide an equipment grounding conductor with it. Any comments? Any questions? Karen, makes sense? Okay. Now, chapter 22, guys, talk about also special purpose. They call them special purpose outlets. Bathroom ceiling fan. So I want to talk a little bit about the bathroom ceiling fan. You guys, why do we, Matt, do you see why we pick all these topics? What you guys doing with me? Aren't you providing a bathroom ceiling fan, right? Is that what we're providing for all the projects that we have? There are two types of bathroom ceiling fans, guys, three types. One type that comes fan, light, okay? And the other one that can come fan, light, heat. Anybody have seen them? They use them in hotels and motels sometimes in bathrooms. So if you have the word heat on them, so it's a heater. The fan acts as a heater inside the bathroom too, not just exhaust, heat. We'll talk about the fan that you also put in the attic and hydro massage bathtub. The hydro massage bathtub. What do you do if you have a hydro massage bathtub? So we have three topics: bathroom, fan, attic fan. Anybody knows why do we have an attic fan? Keep the circulation of the air in the attic, right? Because you have buildup, especially in Minnesota here. You can cool the attic in the summer, and in the winter you circulate the air so you don't have ice dams. So hydro massage bathtub, that bubbles the water as you sit in hydro massage bathtub and moves it and so forth. So let's go talk a little bit about these. Like I said, guys, this particular fixture that you're going to see in a second is a specially designed fixture. Anybody have seen it, by the way? A fan that gets you light, exhaust, as well as heat. Anybody? Typically, I've seen them in hotels and motels, especially motels, in a bathroom because it gets cold. What they do is they have this fixture where you can get you a light from the same fixture. Actually, it can get you light, night light too. You can turn it on at night for you if you have kids. And you can get exhaust. You can turn it on and exhaust, you know, like fans should do. And you can turn a heat. You can make it a heat. So all combo. If you have a combination like this, Derek, the only thing you need to do is you have to provide a 20 amp dedicated circuit. Guaranteed. That's it. Because it has a heater in it and a fan and everything else. So what we do is we throw a dedicated 20 amp circuit on it. Done. Unlike the fan that you guys have in your bathroom, if you have just a fan, you can add the fan to your receptacle circuits. If it's a fan only. If it's a fan light, you can add it to your lighting circuits. You can add it to your lighting circuit. We'll talk about the operation and control of this exhaust fans and attic fans and so forth. Humidity problems. When you have an humidistat, guys, we have fans. Where would that be an issue? In the laundry area, Karen, you are supposed to provide an exhaust fan for me. How are you going to control this exhaust fan? You can manually turn it on and off, or you can put a humidistat to turn it on and off, or you have a temperature switch to turn it on and off. There's so many ways of controlling that fan, guys. Requirement for hydro massage bathtub, again, we'll talk about the GFCI requirement, plugs, and so forth. Hydro massage bathtub, very simple. You need dedicated branch circuit 20 amp, landing on a GFCI receptacle that you plug the hydro massage bathtub pump into it. Very simple. So I have my 20 amp circuit coming in to a GFCI receptacle, powering it. Is my 20 amp circuit. And then the hydro massage tub will be plugged into the GFCI, except the GFCI have to be accessible. Accessible. So the way to make it accessible, guys, they have a GFCI trip right here. And they plug it into a regular receptacle. That's basically the only thing. And you have to also bond with number 8. Number 8 copper. Number 8 CU for bonding the frame of the hydro massage bathtub into the water pipe for safety. So that's basically we'll talk about this one in a second. Bathroom ceiling. If you have a heater, like a baseboard heater, guys, that we have, the article that talks about heat is Article 425. If you have a fixed electric heater, here's how we're going to do it. Very simple. When you size your conductor, 1.25 times full load current. When you size the overconduction device, same thing, 1.25 times full load current. Done. For example, if you have a 10 amp heater, like baseboard heater you guys did, and you need to size a conductor for it, what do you need? Well, what you have to do, take the 10 amps, multiply it by 1.25, get you 12 and a half. The conductor will be number 14. Then, that's the conductor. Then 12 and a half, the overconduction device, next overconduction device will be 15 amps. We have a 15 amp number 14 conductor to feed this 10 amp heater. So if you have a 10 amp heater right here, this conductor will be 12.5 amp, and that will translate into number 14. And this will be also 12.5 amp, and that will translate into a 15 amp. Done. See how easy to fix baseboard heaters? Continuous load. Any comments, guys? Any questions? because it's considered a continuous load. That's how we size it. So that's why I told you guys the baseboard heaters that you did will have a dedicated 20 amp circuit to them. But if you want to, I told you 20 amp circuit. Because if you go through the math of sizing, yeah, you're going to end up with a 20 amp circuit. Here's that combo that you use wiring for heat, vent. I can't emphasize. The one I want you guys to do in our bathroom is only have a vent and a light, or only vent. I leave it up to you. If you want vent, you just add it to the receptacle, pick it up as one of these receptacle with your receptacle circuit. If it's vent light, you pick it up on one of these lighting circuits that you have, right? One of the lighting circuits. If it has heat, if it also provides heat, can you guys see that little heating element right here? Now you have a completely different story here. Then you have to provide a 20 amp circuit dedicated to feed the whole combo. So what this guy does is there's very simple. I don't know if you have seen it or not. There are switches, switch 1, 2, 3, 4. This will switch the fan, turn the fan on, turn the heat on, turn the main lamp on, turn the night light on. So they have a night light. If you have children, you appreciate night light. You flip that little night light so kids can see where the bathroom is, so they don't make it in the closet. And then the lamp, the light, of course, the lamp, and the heat you can turn on to put heat if you want to in the winter of Minnesota. If you don't want heat, you turn the fan on. If you want heat and you turn the fan on, the damper will close and you blow the air right at you, so that becomes hot air. If the fan is off, if the heat is off and you turn the fan, it opens the damper and throws the air out. So that's how its function. If the switch heat is on, the fan, instead of blowing air out, it actually pushes it down at the top of your head to heat the area. The minute that you turn the heat off, the switch heat off, it opens the damper that was closed and now throwing the air The air starts going on the other direction. That's how they design it. What's in it for you? When you size that baby, you have to provide a 20 amp circuit dedicated to this business. That's it. Now, how many conductors are going to be taking to this fixture? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 conductors to this fixture. Do we have a 5-conductor Annam cable? No. So how are you going to wire it? Right? You can't do it with the Annam cable. So you're going to end up with flexible metallic conduit, some type of flexible metallic conduit, and you pull 5 conductors inside that flexible metallic conduit. So that will change the way we wire. Typically, we wire with a NAM cable, right? There's a way of pulling 2 neutrals. You can take these two with 1 neutral, these 2 with 1 neutral, and pull it with 2 cables. But the proper way of doing it is 1 flexible metallic conduits from the box here into where the fixture is located, and pull the 5 wires. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wires. Any comments, guys, about this special type of fixture? When you move into the commercial industrial, guys, every fixture is going to be a special type of fixture for you. The first thing, we have something called mechanical equipment. You're going to tell me, Chad, I don't know this. I've never seen it. Yeah, you're not supposed to see it. But when you go to when we go to more commercial industrial, you go to the mechanical engineers. The mechanical engineers will provide you with something called mechanical equipment with all the electrical quantities, voltage and amps and horsepower, and then you take it from there. So I don't know that this is what they want in their bathroom. Does that make sense, guys? That there is more. Don't get confused. Why did they pick this one? Somebody, the owner, picked it up. Could I have picked just a fan? Yes. So that's where the whole coordination, a lot of coordination happens when it comes to the mechanical equipment between us and the mechanical engineers. Okay, this is just this fixture, this particular fixture. I can't emphasize. It has a heat, a vent, and 2 lights, not just 1 light. So you have 1 switch for the heat, 1 switch for the normal light, 1 switch for the night light, and 1 switch for the fan. So how many switches you need? 4 switches. You need 2 gang box with 4 switches and a 2 gang cover, right? That's when you wire it. Who cares? You guys are not electricians. You will be doing takeoff for this project. You need to know how to take it off. How are you going to take off a project that you don't know how to wire? You know, at least you need to know that you need a 2-gang box, a 2-gang cover. You've seen it right here. They call it, here's the, you know, you need to have the 2-gang, 4-gang, I'm sorry, 4-gang box. We have 4 switches. You need a 4-gang box. Why am I saying 2? 1, 2, 3. So each switch is going to be sitting in 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you have a 4-gang box here. Or there's alternatives to this. If you can have 2 switches in 1 yoke. Have you guys seen these? You can use the 2 switches in 1 yoke. So, but you can either 4 or you can have 2 switches in 1 yoke. You can. Then you have 2. You know, instead of here's 1 switch and the other switch. Both of these are in 1 yoke, but they have to be wired properly though. So they have to be wired properly. So either 2-gang or 4-gang. So these are the questions you're going to be asking yourself. How are you going to take off this project? So we'll come, when we do the takeoff, we'll get into this. But be aware of that. Here's my fan. This is just how it works. When the heater is on, the damper closes and blows air on the top of your head in the bathroom. When the heater is off, the damper will open and it will exhaust air outside. So that's the method of operation for it. Any comments, any questions about that bathroom fan? One more time, guys. For your fan that you guys are going to provide, there is no heat in it. So all what you need is when you put your fan, if it's a fan light, you're going to have another lights here and a third lights in different rooms. You loop them up and you give them circuit number 1. You treat this fan light as another lighting fixture in our project. If it's a fan light, did you guys hear me? Like any other lighting fixture, group them, no more than 9 lights on one 115 amp circuit. Did you guys hear me? Just a little fan with a light on it. We treat it as a lighting fixture. The minute that one that I was just talking about, that's not just a fan light, that's a heater. So that's why we give it a dedicated circuit. Okay, attic exhaust fans. Any question guys about the bathroom fan before I leave that topic? In a bathroom fan, you have 3 options. You either can have a fan only, you can have a fan light combo, or you can have a fan light heat combo. Did you guys hear me? Fan light heat combo, fan only, fan light combo. Most of you, what did you do, Adam? Did you guys do fan light combo in your project? If you did the fan only, then you put it on the power. When you did the power, and you treat it like any other basically receptacle in the area as you power it. You know, treat it as one power because they're small, not a whole lot of power in them. If you have a light fan then you treat it as a lighting fixture. As you circuit it, treat it as a lighting fixture. If you have a heat light fan, dedicated circuit. Am I clear about this point? There, makes sense? Okay. Now the attic fans. Attic fans, guys, these are fans that you put in the attic to circulate the air so you don't have ice dams and you reduce your consumption of power when you cool your house. As you remove this hot air in the summer in the attic, you will be able to consume less power to chill your house. So that's what the idea is. Exhaust fan, billet. They size them in the way they do them. Obviously, it's cubic foot per minute. How many cubic feet of air you can throw outside? So, and there's some calculation that you go through, guys, and I'm not going to go through it. You take to get how many cubic inches you want to throw and blah blah blah. There's recommendation that you can do to size your attic fan. Our intention, guys, when you have the fan, is you need to go. Here's my fan. You need to power it. The best, if you have a fan in the attic, the best application. Here's my fan. I can come and put a 20 amp circuit here or a 15 amp circuit. Let's say a 15 amp circuit. Most of them are small. 15 amp circuit. What you do is you have 15 amp circuit, dedicated circuit, and you have some controller to control the temperature control. That's it. Dedicated 15 amp circuit. You take it to that fan, power it. It comes with a controller, temperature controller. So when the temperature goes above certain limit, it starts throwing the air out. That's the proper way of the typical way of wiring the fan. Okay, so a lot of them guys have overload protection. Again, the same thing to protect it. How to size the overcurrent protection device. If it's a fuse or a circuit breaker, yesterday, I want to remind you guys, we were using this table. And we said if you're using a fuse, 175, using circuit breaker 2.5, is just the sizing requirement. So that's your attic. For your attic, there's a couple of things, guys. When you have, why do we have fans? We're not mechanical engineers, but why do we have fans? You have fans, guys, to exhaust hot air or circulate the air to reduce the humidity or whatever. So you need to control. Need to control the air inside your building. Have fresh air coming into your building. Reduce the humidity so you don't have molds growing in your room. You know, so that's so well insulated homes you can have if you have excessive humidity. So high humidity again, what's the problem with high humidity? Mold grow. What does mold do? Allergic people and damage your house and make you sick. So humidistats, what they do is you have a humidistat that control the humidity in your room, and you can, here's a couple of settings for it. So that's when you sit. What's in it for us, guys? I know this is dwelling. What's in it for us? If you have a humidistat and you need to set it, that's your controller for this particular fan. Something called the humidistat that you can power as your controller. These are your controller system, and adjust that. All these fans, guys, need a disconnect means. So exhaust fan, all of them need a disconnect means. A lot of these disconnect means for the exhaust fan can be as small as a 15 amp snap switch. Any comments, guys? Any questions? Comments, questions? The exhaust fans, you need to ask yourself, number one is dedicated for, most of them dedicated circuit in the attic, and how am I going to control it? Am I going to have a humidistat controlling it, a thermostat controlling it, a temperature switch controlling it? And typically there's a recommendation, guys. So what you do is, I have a couple of examples, we'll show them later on how different ways of controlling that fan. Okay, hydro massage bathtub. Hydro massage bathtub, very simple, very easy. What you do is you bring a dedicated, typically a 20 amp circuit with a 12-2. You bring it into a trip phase. This is GFCI trip, and you come into a receptacle, and then your pump is here, and you plug your receptacle into this. That's your hydro massage bathtub. That's a typical wiring method for hydro massage bathtub. The only thing you need to do is add to the frame here and the water pipe. With the water pipe, you tie it together right here with a number 8 CU cover. Number 8 cover. Any comments, any questions, guys, about wiring if you have a hydro massage bathtub? Can I have thumbs up, Chad? We fully understand. We give it a 20 amp circuit with number 12. Everybody knows what a GFCI trip is. What they do, instead of GFCI receptacle, they have the face. It's just the GFCI. Anybody have seen it? GFCI face, where just it has a face of a GFCI, but no receptacle, and then it feeds a regular receptacle. Then you can turn it on and off from here. The reason why they do it with the hydro massage bathtub, guys, because the hydro massage bathtubs, the receptacle is under the structure. It's inaccessible. And what happens if it trips, if the GFCI trips? Do you think my wife is going to grab her tools, her screwdriver, and go unscrew the screws and open the door and go reset that hydro massage bathtub? Think an average Joe would do that? They wouldn't know it, right? So to make it easier, if it trips, they put the tripping mechanism with the GFCI on the wall. That's all. So if it trips, instead of going opening things, you go there, see it tripped. You push the button and reset it. That's why they have this GFCI trip or GFCI face. Any comments, guys, about hydromassage bathtub? And the bonding conductor between the frame of the hydromassage pump and the water, this is to make sure that the water pipe and the frame are the same potential. So when you're sitting in your hydromassage bathtub, and you're holding on some, the water is bonded through the pipe, everything is sitting at the same potential, so you don't get electrocuted. Any comments, any questions about hydromassage bathtub? That's it. 20 amp circuit, number 12, dedicated. Make sure it's GFC high trip to a receptacle, plug it in. Now, Adam, where's the disconnect for this hydromassage bathtub? The plug. Where's the overload? Built into it, careless. Where's the overcap protection device? Right here. Where's the branch circuit? Here. GFCI is just because it's dealing with water, we need to make sure it trips if there's any leakage to ground.
The overload is built into the hydromassage?
I don't know. We don't size for it. I believe it's part of it. We don't size it for overload. I believe it's part of it. We do not provide an overload for hydromassage bathtub. And that's from what I've seen. If the overload is not provided with the bathtub, like a little bind here, which I don't think they provided with this, then this guy acts as two duties: short circuit ground fault and overload protection. And that's acceptable means. So I think for hydromassage bathtub, the 20 amp circuit breaker will act as your overload as well as your short circuit ground fault. Garbage disposal, on the other hand, the manufacturer provide the overload, guys, is mostly provided by the manufacturer for appliances. So the manufacturer is no other equipment. If they don't provide it, we will provide a backup overload protection via the overload, the circuit breaker, because my circuit breaker will provide an overload. But if you need more overload protection to your equipment, you have to provide a little device. Does that make sense in that case? So that's my hydromassage bathtub. What does the hydromassage bathtub, guys, is designed so that it can accept, circulate, and discharge water upon each use. Bring water, circulate the water, and discharge it every time you jump into that bathtub, hydromassage bathtub. How do you wire it? 20 amp circuit, like I told you. Don't forget about the bonding with number 8. Any comments, any questions? Comments, questions about the hydromassage bathtub? So that's, I don't know, we don't have it in our system here, so. Okay, so that's basically, there you go. Let me just show you a couple of pictures, guys, and then for that. Is your fan. I don't know if you guys, this is the combo fan, if you have never seen that. That's my fan. I don't know if you can see. Here's my two lights that's coming in and so forth. So you can blow the air out to blow the air in. That's how the exhaust fan is. Couple of light fan fixture combination. We talked about this one. The most important thing here, Karen, is the ability to use a flexible to power this equipment. It's my exhaust fan again. Couple of exhaust fan. Control. Here's a control where you have high, low. You can turn your fans on a high or low. You've seen that one. Different type of controlling your fans. Okay, I want to go with these. These are different methods of controlling an exhaust fan, an attic fan, and so forth. So if you look at the first one, guys, let me see if I can. Okay, if you look at the first one, and these are on page 479. The first one, it's a snap switch. Can you guys see that? Just a tiny snap switch here. Oops. A snap switch turning the fan on and off. That's what you can do in a bathroom. Okay. The second one, you can have B. We can have switch multiple. Okay, exhaust fan. So you can have speed control on B. Speed control. So this is snap switch. This will be speed control. Can you guys see that? I can turn it high, low, medium. Speed control it. So that's a speed. Do you want to speed control it, or you just want to turn it on and off? So the minimum that you guys can provide for a fan, attic fan or a fan in a bathroom, the bathroom fan would be, this is typical for bathroom in a kitchen, bathroom. Um, Exhaust fan. Okay, speed control. If you go to C, C is a timer switch. Allow the user to select how long the exhaust fan. So this has a timer switch. You turn it on. Have you guys seen that? And it allows the fan to run for 15 minutes and it turns itself off instead of running. What's the problem with the first one? You turn the fan on, unless you physically, mechanically turn it off, it will continue to turn on. It's continue running, right? So this is the manual. This one also manual, but speed control. This is auto. Now we have a timer. You turn it on, 15 minutes, exhaust the stuff, turn off by itself. You can see that now it's a little bit more advanced. D, on the other hand, guys, D, humidity control. Now this is what you can use in the laundry area. If the humidity goes above a certain level, you don't have to tell the switch to turn off. It will turn this fan off. On. It will turn this fan on, and then when the humidity goes below a certain level, it turns it off. It's controlled by humidity control. E, if you look at E, temperature. E, you look at this one. This is temperature control. The temperature, like in an attic, the temperature goes 95, start exhausting. Goes lower than that, stop. So there's a range for it. Does that make sense, guys? Then we have F. We have F, high temperature auto heater sensor with shut off. So we have a high temperature shut off. When the temperature reaches at this value, okay, so now when they add a high temperature shut off, so a certain value will shut off. This guy, look what this have. This have high humidity. This particular one has humidity, speed control, and high temperature. So then you start getting combo controller. Temperature and humidity. You can here this one you can select. Do you want to run it on temperature or humidity? Does that make sense? Can I guys get you to understand? All these are methods of controlling mechanical equipment. We're residential. Mechanical equipment not a big deal now. When we go to the commercial industrial, these are the questions that you're going to sit and ask your mechanical engineers. Are you guys doing the control or are we? First, if they are, then they'll take care of it. Then, if we are, we. Here's your option for control, guys. Am I using a thermostat to control this piece of equipment, a temperature switch, a timer? I guarantee you, most of the mechanical equipment, guys, in a commercial industrial buildings are the means of control are provided by the mechanical contractor, mechanical engineers. Because I, as an engineer, I know how to circulate the air in the building, but it's not my job to measure the speed of the air handling units so it can exhaust certain cubic feet per minute and how far it's going to go. That would be the mechanical engineer. So 99.9% of the time in a commercial industrial project, the control of the mechanical equipment as in exhaust fans and air handling units and chillers and so forth will be provided by the mechanical engineers. But it's good to know about it though, right? Don't you think so? It's good to know that you can have a thermostat, a temperature, a switch like a thermostat. You can have a humidifier to turn things on and off based on the relative humidity in the area. You can have a speed control. You have a timer. That's a basic. Like if I don't have this in my bedroom, it will be really nice. You turn the switch on 15 minutes and turn itself off. So these are methods of controlling fans, exhaust fans, attic fans, laundry fan. Now for my project, for the project that you guys have in, I told you to have a switch, simple switch here. If you decided to put a temperature switch like this, so the temperature goes certain hot, it starts exhausting, and that's fine with me. But minimum you need a switch just to turn that fan on and off. Any comments, guys? Any questions about that? Comments, questions? That's really what that is. Our thermostat. Okay, so this is how you installation method. This is a couple of connections, guys. Low voltage and high voltage connection for a thermostat in this case. Low voltage humidistat. So look what happened. you can have a high voltage humidistat or low voltage humidistat. I want you guys to just pay attention to this one. You can buy a device like this, where you bring the hot in and the hot out, made to be a humidistat that control that fan based on the humidity in the area. This is, they call it line because can you guys see the voltage here is 120. So you go through the disconnect, overload, see that overload and disconnect here, and then the humidistat is tied to it. That's so-called line one. The load, the line humidistat, low voltage humidistat, right here. Can you guys see it's going through what? A transformer. It's going through a transformer. So the transformer will transfer, say, the 24 volt. Now this humidistat, that's like the one that we use in our in your house to turn your air conditioning on and off, and your chiller or your air conditioning, as well as your heater, furnace. So you put a transformer here, or it has a transformer where you can turn it on and off, guys, based on. So when this is closes, when this is senses that there is a humidity issue, it closes, energize this coil. This coil will close this contact, and this motor will run. I can't emphasize, if you guys are going to be in the electrical industry, especially in the design or construction, I know we're not control engineers, but the more you know about the control, the better you would be. And that's what we're going to be talking about, different ways of control. This is residential. As we move into the commercial, we'll talk about these are different ways of control. When it comes, you have a piece of equipment, guys, you need to ask yourself, how am I going to power it? And how am I going to control it? And how am I going to disconnect it? These are, and how am I going to provide it with overload? And who's providing these? Does that make sense? That's a question you're going to be asking yourself every time you have to have a mechanical equipment, as in fan, pump, chiller, air handling unit, and so forth. So what you're looking at right here is controllers. So this is a box, a device that has a disconnect as well as a controller, an overload, and all what you're bringing the power in, power out. And this is another box that interfaces with it that has a relay that's driven by a third box that has the thermostat or the humidistat. Thermostat based on temperature, humidistat based on the humidity. Any comments, guys? Any questions? Does that make sense? Yes, no? No? Okay, so that's basically what. Now the last thing, guys, here is basically the hydro massage bathtub. Typical application. It says here 15 amp. Connect to a 15 amp 120 single pole GFCI circuit breaker. Typically, what we do is we use 20 amp for them. We provide a 20 amp circuit, dedicated circuit for them, and we grab the frame and we tie it to the water pipe, bond it with number 8 AWGCU copper. And can you guys see the word GFCI receptacle? Instead of having GFCI face, they put a GFCI receptacle. That's another option. But they don't put the GFCI receptacle though right circuit breaker. Yeah. So it will be right here, feeding it. That will be 15 amp or 20 amp. Typically, I do them 20 amp. 120 GFCI right here. That's one option. So you protected the whole circuit, or you can put the GFCI here, GFCI, and this will be most likely a plug, non-GFCI receptacle, just a regular receptacle, and that will be a GFCI phase. So either a receptacle or a face would take care of you. But you can't have the GFCI receptacle right here because it's inaccessible, non-accessible. Any comments, guys? Any questions about hydro massage bathtub? So that's basically what the hydro massage bathtub is. Okay, that's all we have for you. I want to give you guys 5 minutes and then I'll do some math. Shall we? You guys have energy? Go get yourself some juice, some other drinks, and let's go from there.